What's up, everyone? Happy Monday. Let's learn something. So today we're going to be talking about 1 Kings. 1 Kings was ideally written to record, but it was also to teach the lessons from these events that were being recorded. If you read it, it's a very long read because it kind of gets boring, especially in the beginning. But nonetheless, it is basically a historical recollection, a very detailed outline of all the different kings that we're about to read about. So just as with all the other historical books in the Old Testament, the history recorded here was meant to preserve the history, but not only that, it was also to teach the spiritual truths learned from these events. So in the books of 1 King and 2 King, basically what it boiled down to was these kings were evaluated based on their reaction or their responsibility towards the law of the Lord. This was kind of like an acid test to see if they did wrong or if they did right in the Lord's eyes. Most often or not, they didn't do what they were supposed to. But not only are the kings heavily featured in this book, the prophets are also heavily mentioned in the book of Kings. The prophets during this time were kind of God's spokesperson. We didn't have Jesus come forward yet to kind of break the seal between us, so we kind of had to have these prophets that would talk to us and kind of understand what God was saying. The prophets would do a lot of proclaiming during this time, especially to those hard-hearted they are sinners, but the kings during this time to try and convey and get them to understand, hey, this is what God means. So it's through the prophets' eyes that we're always connecting the nation's fortune with the king's faithfulness or lack thereof. So if the king was very righteous in the Lord's eyes, the country or the nation prospered. So that's kind of a rough summary of 1 Kings. On our animal spotlight today, we're going to be talking about the most patriotic animal in the animal kingdom, the bald eagle. So the bald eagle is very uncommon in the state of Florida. It is a year-round resident of Florida, however. The juveniles or the young bald eagles, they do not have the characteristic white, bald-looking head on them. They look just like a turkey vulture or any other kind of vulture. Like ospreys, bald eagles are associated with the water. Large rivers, lakes, wet prairies, and marshes. You'll see them all the time in those areas. They have an extremely bulky stick nest that is reused and gets larger each year. They usually only have about 2 eggs per clutch. And I guess a clutch is what they call their children, right? Or their batch or whatever. One of the greatest conservation stories ever told. The bald eagles were highly endangered just a few decades ago. But due to the strict protection of these animals and to the widespread education campaign, they made a remarkable recovery. They mainly feed on fish, and they're also big enough birds that they can eat like small mammals and small reptiles and those kind of things. The bald eagle became the national symbol of the United States, or the national emblem in the United States in America in 1782. We'll talk about that more in about 30 seconds. So on our financial portion today, it's a very hot topic. It is talking about inflation. What is inflation? Inflation is essentially the increase in the price of goods or services over time. We obviously know that. If you went to a movie back in like 1980, it would cost you about $2. Fast forward to 2019, it would cost you about $10. And now it's even more than that. I want to say the last time I went to a movie, it was like $15. So that just shows you the gradual increase in prices over time. Now, an average inflation rate of 2% is good for the economy. Inflation is measured by a couple of different things. The first one is the Consumer Price Index, CPI, or the Producer Price Index, PPI. So having something like a home or investing in stocks during this time are great ways to battle inflation and to keep your money a little more stagnant, or you don't lose money. Your money in these kind of places during times of inflation, like homes or stocks. Just my 2 cents. There are many different things that cause inflation to go up or down. There's also many different ways the Fed can kind of manipulate the interest rates to kind of help us out. I'm afraid we're past that point now, but it'll be very interesting in the coming months to see exactly what happens. Okay, for our history spotlight today, we're going to be talking about the bald eagle and why it's America's national symbol. After the Declaration of Independence was signed on July 4th, 1976, the task was given to Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and John Adams to design the official seal of the new nation. The three kind of failed to come up with a consensus about what they wanted, and it actually wasn't until the bald eagle landed on the national symbol there in the Capitol that they thought, hey, this would be a pretty good symbol for our nation. Up until that point, though, the bald eagle was not a front runner. It actually was the turkey. The turkey was a front runner, and the main supporter behind the turkey was Benjamin Franklin. He thought that the turkey displayed what America envisioned for their nation, and he actually even described the bald eagle as a bird of bad moral character. That's kind of funny, but nonetheless, Charles Thompson, at the time the Secretary of Congress, was given the task of designing the seal, and he actually worked with William Barton to make the final designs. So hopefully now you understand why the bald eagle is our national symbol. And our inspiring quote of today is, "There is always light, if only you're brave enough to see it. If only we're brave enough to be it." So when God commanded you to be the light of the world, are you brave enough to go out there, profess your faith, and proclaim Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? See you tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed the show.